traders, and welcome to another exciting edition of our weekly XAUSD and GBPUSD trade analysis. Okay, so I'm excited to be here with you as we dive into the dynamic world of forex trading. So in today's video, we'll be dissecting the price action for XAUSD and GBPUSD, identifying key and potential levels on the charts, and discussing potential strategies for the week ahead.
Alright guys, as you can see on my screen, this is GBPUSD on a daily time frame. Remember, we just had a very high impact news, which was the NFP news, which occurred on Friday, and it caused a major change in the market. So right here on my screen, you can see there are marked out zones, there are key zones that we are looking out for on the daily time frame for GBPUSD. As you can see, this is a resistance zone. This is also a resistance zone of which price retested before the NFP news occurred on Friday, which caused it to short. This is a previous resistance zone right here, of which price is looking to turn into a support right here. So guys, for next week on GBPUSD on the daily time frame, we'll be expecting continuation to the downside to this resistance zone right here before a reversal to the upside. But on the flip side, if price decides to continue downward, we'll be expecting a breakout and a retest of this zone, this resistance zone, then a continuation to the downside. So we are expecting price to continue downward to this previous resistance zone, turn it into a support before a reversal to the upside. But on the flip side, if price decides to continue downward from its current position, we'll be expecting price to break out of this zone here, turn it into a resistance, that's by retesting it, and then continue downward to the next support zone just below. So guys, let's move over to the 4 hours time frame so that we can see some zones that we need to also look out for, guys. Alright, so this is the 4 hours time frame on GBPUSD. So guys, on the 4 hours time frame, we can still see some visible zones which we will be expecting price to either bounce off or even break out from, guys. So right here is a very valid resistance zone of which price retested here and came back to retest it right here. So for GBPUSD on the 4 hours time frame, we'll be expecting price to still continue downward to respect this resistance zone right here, turn it into a support before a reversal upward. But on the flip side, if price decides to break out of it, we'll be expecting a retest of this zone and then continuation to the downside to the next support zone. So guys, for GBPUSD, we'll be expecting a continuation to the downside from its current position to respect this resistance zone, this zone right here, turn it into a support before a reversal to the upside. But on the flip side, if price decides to continue downward by breaking out of that zone, we'll be expecting a breakout, a retest of this zone, and then a continuation to the downside to the next support zone, which is right here. So generally on the 4 hours time frame for GBPUSD, we're expecting a reversal of price at this zone right here. But on the flip side, if price decides to break out from that zone, we'll be expecting a retest of that zone and then continuation to the next support zone right here. So guys, we'll still move out to the 1 hour time frame. Okay, right here on my screen is the 1 hour time frame for GBPUSD. Remember, we always do a top-down analysis so as to ascertain the possible scenarios that will be playing out in the market for the coming week, guys. So I'll just zoom out right here so that we can see what we are looking for. So right here is the 1 hour time frame. We'll be expecting a reversal of price from this zone right here. We'll be expecting price to get to this zone and then reverse to the upside. But on the flip side, if price breaks out of this zone, we'll be expecting a retest of this zone and then a continuation to the next support zone. So we're expecting price to drop to respect this zone right here before a reversal to the upside. But on the flip side, if price decides to break out of it, we'll be expecting a retest of this zone, then a continuation to the downside to this support zone right here. So guys, generally for GBPUSD, we'll be expecting a little drop to respect this zone right here before a reversal to the upside. But on the flip side, if price decides to drop more by breaking out of the zone, we'll be expecting a retest of the zone, then a continuation to the downside to the next support zone. So guys, that will be all for GBP USD. Let's move on to XAUSD and also look out for some key zones for the coming week, guys. Alright guys, so this is XAUSD gold on a daily time frame. As you can see, this was a very high impact news which made XAUSD to short to this support zone right here. So guys, from the daily time frame right here on my screen, as you can see, there are some key zones we have marked out. A resistance zone, this is also a resistance zone, this is a support, this is a major support of which XAUSD just came back to retest. For next week from XAUSD, we'll be expecting a reversal from this zone. Remember, this is a very valid support zone, so we'll be expecting price to reverse, that's a correction to the upside, to respect either of this zone or the zone above it. So I'll just draw that out. But the flip side, if price decides to break out of this support zone, we'll be expecting more drops for the coming week, guys. So for XAUSD gold on the daily time frame, we'll be expecting some corrective moves for next week. Depending on the opening of the market, we'll be expecting some corrective moves. So we'll be expecting price, to reverse from this point, to respect either this zone right here, or possibly break out of it to respect the next zone, this resistance zone just above. But on the flip side, if price decides to break out of this support zone, this very valid support zone, we'll be expecting a breakout and then a retest of this zone before continuation to the downside, guys. Let's move on to the 4 hours time frame so we can see some other key zones that we need to also look out for, guys. So guys, right on my screen, this is XAUSD on the 4 hours time frame. In these are very valid, visible. The zones we marked out on the daily time frame are very valid and very visible on the 4 hours time frame, guys. So as you can see, the price came back to retest this support zone right here. So for XAUSD on the 4 hours time frame, we'll be expecting some corrective move. That we'll be expecting price to reverse from this support zone right here to continue to the upside, to either respect this previous support zone by turning it into a resistance or breaking out of it to the next resistance zone just above. But on the flip side, if price decides to break out of this support zone, this very valid support zone, we'll be expecting a retest of this zone and then a drop to the downside. So we're expecting a reversal of price from this support zone to respect this previous support zone right here by turning it into a resistance, or possibly break out of it to the next support zone just above. But on the flip side, if price decides to break out of this support zone, we'll be expecting a retest of this support zone before a continuation to the downside, guys. So generally on the 4 hours time frame for XAUSD, we'll be expecting a reversal of price to the upside. But on the flip side, if price decides to break out of this zone right here, we'll be expecting a retest of this zone and then a continuation to the downside, which is not very different from what we expected on the daily time frame, guys. So guys, we are going to move over to the 1 hour time frame so we can also look out for some key and valid zones that we need to be watching for the next coming week, guys. Alright guys, so this is the 1 hour time frame for XAUSD on my screen. As you can see, this was a resistance zone that we marked out on the higher time frame, which is also very visible on the lower time frame. This is also a very valid resistance zone. This was a resistance zone which price turned into a support right here. So this is also a very valid support zone which has been holding for a while. So guys, like we said on the other time frames, we'll be expecting a reverse of price from this zone right here. As you can see, I'll just zoom in real quick so we can see price has already started forming a correction right here, as you can see. So we are expecting a reversal of price, a corrective move for price from this zone right here to respect either this resistance zone or the resistance zone above. But on the flip side, if price decides to break out of this zone right here, we'll be expecting movement to the downside, guys. So I'll just draw that out real quick. So right here we're expecting corrective move from XAUUSD on the daily time frame. We're expecting it to reverse from this zone to respect this resistance zone, or possibly break out of it to the next resistance zone just above, guys. But on the flip side, if price decides to break out of this support zone right here, we'll be expecting price to break out of this zone, retest it, and then give us a confirmation by moving downward, guys. So generally for XAUSD, we'll be expecting a corrective move for next week. But on the flip side, if price decides to continue downward, we'll be expecting a breakout of the current support zone, and then a retest of it before going downward, guys. So that will be all for XAUUSD, guys. Okay guys, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of our weekly forecast. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and also turn on the notification so as to get notified whenever we post our weekly forecast. And also guys, please don't forget to join us on our weekly webinars, which are hosted every Wednesdays. You can check through the description of this video to get the link to our Telegram channel. Please don't miss out on the webinars. It's always educative, always captivating, and we share insights on forex trading as a whole. Please join us. Much love from FX. See you next week, same time, same station. GM guys.